The dream was relatively small. I just wanted to do a magazine that I believed in and that would be successful enough so I could keep doing it. And what came afterward, I could not have imagined.
Before Hugh Hefner would publish the first ever Playboy magazine back in December of 1953 and build the company into one of the most recognizable global brands.
Now Heff, what makes the best party?
Well, I think it has to do with the ambiance of the mansion, of course, the perfect setting.
Before the pages of Playboy would feature celebrities including Kim Kardashian, Jenny McCarthy, Lindsey Lohan, Amanda Cerny, and even Donald Trump. Ew. Before Heff would sign up for 6 seasons of The Girls Next Door and invite the world to see the magic that takes place within the Playboy Mansion.
Gigs and dates and the grapes and the cakes, hey! Come on in my house, come on.
Before Heff made it A-OK to wear silk pajamas at all times.
Yeah, it was a pleasure to see you. Thank you, my friend. Yeah, it was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me here tonight.
Did I invite you?
Yeah, sure did.
Hugh Hefner's life story is one of the most remarkable come-up stories of all time. Now, when he was a child, America was a much different place, but he learned pretty early on that sex certainly sells. His legacy has left people divided, some praising him as the man solely responsible for the sexual revolution of the 60s, a man of progress and optimism, and also one who led the way for racial inclusion in mainstream media. Now, others, they see his success as something built on the bodies of women and call him a pervert. Now, I'd say both are a little true, but being a guy's guy, I envy the life and success of Heff. To be honest, I wish I could buy the Playboy Mansion and become the next Hugh Hefner. Sadly, the mansion has already been purchased by this guy. Yikes. Hugh Hefner's success can be traced back to a nude photo he purchased of Marilyn Monroe, and although the two never met, Hugh never forgot what she did for his career. In the end, he made sure that he was buried right next to her. Now, this video is a long one, but I want to ask you guys a question. In a Hollywood biopic of Hugh's life, who do you think should take on the role? Sound off down below.
We have some breaking news for you tonight. Playboy founder Hugh Hefner has died at the age of 91. Hefner changed America when he introduced Playboy magazine back in 1953.
What's going on, guys? My name is Michael McCarthy, documenting the life and career of the man, the legend, Hugh Hefner, prior to his untimely passing, here for you on Before They Were Gone. Now, in the past, I've made a Before They're Famous video on the Playboy Corporation, as well as his wife and now widow, Crystal Harris. Be sure to check those out. A link is down below. Now let's get into this bio. Hugh Marston Hefner was born on April 9, 1926 in Chicago, Illinois. The eldest of 2 sons, born Grace and Glenn Hefner, who themselves grew up on a Nebraska farm. His father was an accountant at an aluminum company and his mother a school teacher. His parents were strict Protestants who instilled rules like no swearing, no drinking, no playing cards, and no radio on Sundays. Hefner went to Sayre Elementary School and then to Steinmetz High School, but he didn't excel at school at all, often sitting at his desk drawing cartoons for hours on end. Heff seems so totally disengaged with his schoolwork that the teachers wondered if he had some sort of hearing problem. Not knowing what to do, his mother had him examined by a child psychologist at the Illinois Institute for Juvenile Research, and following a series of tests they concluded he was a genius with an IQ of 150, and his imagination, it was profound.
Nothing that I imagined as a child lived up to what actually happened in my life.
It was during his youth that Heff first discovered Esquire magazine, which was the most risque men's magazine of the time. He became enamored with the romantic and adventurous stories by the likes of Fitzgerald and Hemingway, the photographs of classic cars, the sophisticated cartoons, the travel articles about glamorous places, the fashion layouts, and the fold-out that each month offered an exquisite color drawing of a beautiful woman.
Our unabashed dictionary defines IUD as love springs internal. I don't get it.
While in high school, Heff became president of the student council and founded a school newspaper. He also created a comic book entitled School Days. He served 2 years in the U.S. Army as a non-combatant towards the end of World War II. There he ran a military newspaper and was discharged in 1946. He studied at the Chicago Art Institute for a summer before enrolling at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. There he majored in psychology. He earned his bachelor's degree in 1949, and that same year he married his first wife, Mildred Williams. She was also the first woman he had ever, been with. It happened just before their wedding. But prior to this, Mildred confessed that she had had an affair while he was away in the army. He called the admission the most devastating moment of his life, but in her guilt, she decided to allow Heff to have sex with other women in the hope that it would preserve their marriage. Probably that was a bad idea. Heff credited Millie for opening up his eyes to sexuality, which led him to do a semester of graduate school in the area of sociology, focusing on sex research. By the early 1950s, Hefner had landed his dream job as a copywriter with Esquire magazine, but he didn't stay there long after he was denied a raise of $5. From there, he decided to start his own publication. Now, I've already spoken about this in my Playboy Before Their Famous video, so let's just roll a clip from that. Originally, Heff was toying with the name Stag Party, but then switched it up to avoid confusion with the existing Stag magazine. With a loan of $8,000, Playboy was launched in December of 1953, with Marilyn Monroe on the cover and a nude of her inside. Hugh had purchased her previously taken nude photo for $500, and it was money well spent because men across America were dying to see her in all her glory.
That's a very interesting point of view.
Oh, do you feel the breeze from the subway? Isn't it delicious?
With his first publication proving to be a success, Heff cooked up the now infamous Playboy logo and got to work releasing his magazine on the regular, targeting intellectual cosmopolitan males. Besides the images of naked women, the magazine tackled issues of politics, government, and philosophy. By the late 50s, Playboy was selling more than 1 million copies a month, beating his former employer Esquire magazine in circulation. That had to have felt good. With Heff working around the clock and embracing all the perks that came with blossoming business, well, his first marriage had ended in 1959. The two shared 2 children, Christy and David. Now single, Heff embraced his own Playboy philosophy. Enjoying the perks of his success, he purchased the original Playboy Mansion in Chicago. Heff admitted that through the 60s and 70s, he had been involved with maybe 11 out of the 12 months worth of playmates. Some of these girls include Donna Michelle, Marilyn Cole, Lillian Mueller, Shannon Tweed, Barbie Benton, Karen Christie, Sandra Theodore, and Carrie Lay. Through the 1960s, the magazine increased in success, part and thanks to the sexual revolution of the decade. Heff diversified his business, building private key clubs where hostesses, known as Playboy Bunnies, would serve upscale gentlemen. Essentially, it was a strip club without the stripping.
But today it's a rehearsal room as fledgling bunnies learn their drill and practice the dip, which is their ceremonial way of serving drinks, all under the practiced eye of their boss, the bunny mother.
Playboy Enterprises also built hotel resorts, started up modeling agencies, and operated a number of media endeavors. Heff became a television host on Playboy's Penthouse and Playboy After Dark.
This is the very beautiful Sharon Tate, I'm sure you've seen in films. And I think maybe a little later we'll get a chance to sit down and talk a little bit about sex and films. Anytime. I really enjoyed you in Valley of the Dolls.
I'm glad.
The whole thing in terms of sex and films is interesting, and maybe we'll get a chance to chat about it.
In 1971, Heff bought his Los Angeles Playboy Mansion for a cool $1.1 million. He also revealed to the world that he had experimented with bisexuality. That same year, his company went public as the magazine's circulation hit 7 million copies a month, earning him a $12 million profit in 1972 alone. In 1974, Heff decided to move full-time to sunny California, which would soon become the hottest place in the country for its exclusive parties.
Hugh Hefner invites you to Playboy's roller disco and pajama party.
In the mid-1970s, Playboy Enterprises fell on hard times. The United States had hit a recession, and Playboy faced competition from other magazines like Penthouse.
The greatest success of the company and the magazine was in the 1950s, 60s, when we were private.
With times getting tougher, they decided to get a little more creative, and this is when they started to introduce celebrity guests on the cover of the magazine. We're talking Madonna, Kate Moss, Jenny McCarthy, Naomi Campbell, Cindy Crawford, Drew Barrymore, Nancy Sinatra, and of course, Pamela Anderson, who appeared in the mag a total of 7 times. In 1978, Heff helped organize a fundraising event which led to the restoration of the Hollywood sign, with him purchasing the Y for $27,000. Heff was also honored with a star on Hollywood's Walk of Fame. In 1985, Hefner suffered a minor stroke, which served as a wake-up call. From there, he stopped smoking and he began to work out. In 1989, Heff decided to get married again to his girlfriend Kimberly Conrad, who is 36 years his junior. The marriage produced 2 sons, Marston and Cooper, and for some time, the Playboy Mansion Mansion was more of a family location than the swingers club it had been notoriously known as. Heff and Kimberly separated in 1998, but only divorced in 2009 when his youngest son turned 18.
When my mom and dad separated and my dad bought the mansion next door, he broke down the wall and my brother and I went back and forth between both properties.
Following their separation, Hugh went back to his Playboy ways, dating multiple women simultaneously and also throwing more epic kick-ass parties. In 2005, his 3 most significant girlfriends were featured in the reality show The Girls Next Door. The show produced 6 seasons and a total of 91 episodes, but if you tuned in for the final season, you would have noticed, well, some major changes.
It's on the grips and the kicks. Hey, come on in my house,
Holly, Bridget, and Kendra had enough with the strict rules that came with life as one of Hugh Hefner's girlfriends, and they moved on. In 2009, he started dating Crystal Harris, joining his also girlfriends, the Shannon twins. Heff quickly fell hard for Crystal because, well, he was down on one knee just a year after meeting Crystal, and he asked her to be his one and only. After Crystal left Heff at the altar, the two eventually tied the knot in 2012, with her being 60 years his junior. Now, for many years, Hollywood studios have been in talks with Heff about the production of his biopic film. Major stars were considered for the role, including Tom Cruise, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Robert Downey Jr. Now, if you follow me on Twitter, you would know already who I think deserves the role. Will Arnett. Am I right? Or what about Jon Hamm? I guess he's already played that role. Anyway, in the years later, Playboy went through a number of changes as his son Cooper was groomed to take over for his father. In 2015, the magazine attempted to move away from the use of nudity in a decision that they have since retracted on. Thank the Lord. In 2016, one day before Heff's 90th birthday, his beloved brother Keith passed away. In 2016, the Playboy Mansion was sold for $100 million, all the while, Heff's health was reported to be on the swift decline. Then on September 27, 2017, he passed away peacefully from natural causes, surrounded by friends and family. He was 91 years old. Back in 1992, he had purchased the crypt next to Marilyn Monroe at the Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery for $75,000. This purchase he had made way back in the day, well, it ensured that Heff would be beside one more beautiful woman, even in his afterlife. As for the rest of the story, well, that's pretty much it, because this is before they were gone. Now, please feel free to leave your condolences in the comments down below. My name is Michael McCarthy, and if that dude who now owns the Playboy Mansion is watching this video, I take back the ugly comment. I would very much like to be invited to one of your parties. Okay, that's it. Bye.